Hello, happy Thursday. So it is raining. It is kind of cold and clammy. It is gross, and I just need something warm and delicious. So I am going to throw together a tomato soup. You should have enough pantry staples that you can always throw together this tomato soup. I'm hoping that it's going to be super easy, and then I'm going to show you exactly how to do it, and I'm going to show you what you need. So the first thing we're going to do is you're going to need 4 28-ounce cans of diced tomatoes. Now, I always have diced tomatoes. I make my own marinara sauce. I probably make it once a week. So I always have cans and cans and cans of diced tomatoes. I think that they're a really great thing to keep in your pantry. They don't really go bad. You'll always have them, and then you can do fun things with them. You can cook them. You can make marinara sauce. You can add them to pastas. You could make this tomato soup today. So it's always something really fun. Hi, Lori. Do you want to make tomato soup with me? You totally should. Okay, this is going to be super simple. I have 3 onions, and I am going to chop them up into small bits. Now, I said this the other day when I was doing a little cooking tutorial about chopping things up. We're going to be blending this. So if you are, the recipe is going to call for like a 1/4 inch chop, like whatever, just do what you can, because you're going to be blending this and it's not really going to matter. I suppose you're not going to want to have huge chunks of onions so that it does have an easier time blending, but I wouldn't go crazy over making like the perfect chop. You just want them small enough so that they're going to cook down, and that, oh my goodness, I need to get these frying eyes. Have you guys, I'm sure all of you, if you cook, oh hey Kay, I'm sure all of you, if you cook, your eyes like start watering. I like to play tricks on my kids, so when they come in and I'm like cutting onions, I'm always like, oh, what have you done? I'm so upset. And they're like, are you cutting onions? They're like kind of over it already. But there is something I recently just saw on Instagram about these glasses you can get. I kind of feel like, is it a scam? Can I just put on my sunglasses right now and I won't tear up? I believe that the tearing up, the reason why you cry when you slice onions, I believe the reason why you cry is that there are some gases that are released as you're cutting the onion, and those gases are what makes you cry. So I guess that makes sense, scientific sense. All right, so I'm just going to chop these up. Now, the recipe that I'm using calls for a 1/2 pound of butter. Dude, this is a 1/2 pound of butter. There's no chance in the world I'm using a 1/2 pound of butter. It might taste good, but I'm telling you, that's just ridiculous. So sorry, I left you momentarily. I'm gonna mix it with some olive oil because I just, that's. Do I have to even go into the explanation of why you shouldn't be putting a 1/2 pound of butter into your tomato soup? I don't think so. Okay, I probably shouldn't even be putting as much butter as I am in, but so is life. Okay, we are going to turn the oven on, and I'm just going to be, just cooking down my onions. I am going to add garlic to this because I like the taste of garlic. The recipe doesn't call for it, but that's what I love about soups and stews and all kinds of like cooking, is that you can do what flavor profile you want. If my kids weren't eating this, I would actually add red pepper flakes to this, and you can certainly do that as well. So I'm going to take these onions once this butter and oil start to heat up, and I'm going to cook the onions in there. The next step that I'm going to do is I'm going to be putting flour in that. So now, why am I putting flour? Flour is going to thicken up that onion and thicken the olive oil and the juices that are released from the onion, and the flour thickens it up. And then when you're making a soup, that's going to make the soup have a much creamier consistency. So flour is a thickening agent when you're using it in a soup like this. Also, when you're cooking like that and you're cooking with flour, it's also called a roux, and that's spelled like R-O-U-X. So, a roux. Now you learned a new word. I'm sure if you didn't know that, now you know. You can be fancy at parties and tell them you used a roux when you were cooking your soup. Okay, that's starting to cook. We're going to put our onions in, and then we're going to put the garlic. You don't want to put your onions and your garlic in at the same time because garlic burns at a much higher rate, and you don't want that like brown, gross, garlic burnt taste. Okay, tomatoes, onions, garlic. You're going to have about 1.25 cups of chicken broth. I always go for the low sodium just because you don't need the sodium. You don't need those extra things. You're going to have a little salt, a little pepper, a little celery salt, the flour, and that's it. You're going to cook that down for about 30 minutes. And then you're going to puree it out. Now, if you have a hand blender, awesome. You can use a hand blender and you can just puree all of the diced tomatoes and all the onions and puree them. You want to make sure they're really pureed. If not, you could do what I'm going to do, which is just wait for it to cool a little bit. You don't want to pour burning hot soup into your like Vitamix or your blender or what have you. But then when it cools a little bit, you're going to just blend it in batches in your mixer, in your blender. Put it back into the pot, and you can season it for taste, salt, pepper. The recipe that I'm using calls for using heavy cream. That's not happening. I might taste it and put a dollop of yogurt in it. I think that might have that creamy consistency that the recipe calls for, but I'm gonna see how it goes once I taste it. That is the soup. You can do so many things with this soup once you've cooked it. You actually can cook like raviolis and just kind of boil them into your soup. If you boil them same way you would like a pot of pasta, right? You could make a grilled cheese sandwich and put it on the side. You can make grilled cheese croutons. Oh my God, delicious. If you want those, I'll let you know how you can do that. You could do so many things, or you can serve it like I'm going to, just as your full dinner meal. I'm going to serve it with a little roasted vegetables tonight. I'll probably have to whip out a little ciabatta bread because, you know, the hubby likes his carbs. All right, guys, I hope that you have a chance to just whip together this soup. And if you do, let me know how you liked it. And if you have any questions, message me. Have a great day. Bye, guys.